Hello, and welcome to another episode of That's Absurd. Please elaborate. This one is a funny edition because Julian is in Spain.
Barcelona!
And I am in Michigan at my parents' house because it's summer.
The Barcelona of America, some might say.
Some might say, yes.
Some
might.
All two people on this podcast might say.
I don't know if I would say that, but you can say that if you want to.
I've never been to Michigan, but I assume it has many similarities with Catalonia.
We do eat a lot, and we sleep sometimes.
There's food. There's food.
There's a lot of food. There's also, humans, and they speak a language.
Yep.
So, yeah.
There's a big body of water nearby.
Many big bodies of water. You could say that we're surrounded by water similarly. That one we do both actually have. Yep. Well, anyway, welcome to the show. If this is your first time listening, we're sorry, as usual. I'm Trace, a science communicator, and I'm here with Julian Huguet, also a science communicator. And we're going to answer a silly question that somebody sent in to our show.
That's what we're going to do. And I'm the one tackling a question this week, which came from Sarah, who asked, if gravity turned off for 10 seconds once a day, how would society adapt?
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've got thoughts already.
You do.
I immediately start coming up with things that we would have to do.
It would be great.
What? It would be great?
Well, I mean, your thoughts will be great. The gravity disappearing, not so much, and we'll get into why. But Sarah also says, if we lost all gravity for a bit, what would our go-to solution be? Would 10 seconds be enough time to make us float very far? What if it was a minute a day? These questions assume that the gravity off period is scheduled at the same time every day. But what if it was random? What might our solution be then? And what about outdoor pets? All great questions, Sarah. All great.
I like that she thought of outdoor pets.
Yeah, that's where her head is at.
But not all the other animals that live outside.
Presumably they've adapted to it, right? But my chihuahua would be shocked.
Somehow the other animal that lives on the planet didn't adapt.
No, the ones that we bred to be cute little lap dogs would be caught off guard because of their tiny walnut brains and how we've removed their survival instincts, you know?
Yeah, that makes sense. You're right. What was I thinking?
So, Trace, I found this one weirdly topical. Did you hear about the rumor that was going around?
Wow, that is broad because I have a lot of friends and I've been sworn to secrecy on so many things that I just am going to say, no, tell me the rumor.
Okay. So there was a rumor recently that for 7 seconds on August 12th, 2026, gravity would disappear.
Got it. Okay, so no one is, making out with people they shouldn't be. Got it. Okay, yeah. Gravity disappearing. Great, low stakes.
Well, that's immaterial to this rumor. That could still be true.
Okay.
So this rumor started going around the internet around January of this year. Social media just picked it up. Apparently, it was traced back by Snopes to one account as the earliest poster, Mr. Danya OF. He posted it on New Year's Eve, 2025, and then 6 days later, his account vanished. Did NASA get him? Was he murdered by the NASA assassins?
That's the theme song for the NASA assassins. NASA assassins!
NASA assassins!
It's a great deal. No, that's 7-Eleven. Anyway.
Well, it can be both.
It can be both. They have different demographics. That's fine.
I think this one picked up steam on the internet because it had a lot of very specific details. You know, when people lie and make stuff up, if they just include like specific numbers, it adds some credence to it, right?
Yes.
So some of the numbers included were that this would happen at 14:33 UTC, so, Universal Coordinated Time.
That's very specific.
NASA had an $89 billion budget to deal with it, which... Feel free to laugh at any time about NASA having an $89 billion budget for one event. Not for the whole agency, for one thing that was going to happen. When NASA's annual budget is like they're lucky to get $26 billion.
Yeah. The 2026 fiscal year budget is like 25 billion.
Yeah.
For the whole,
and
for the whole NASA.
And the government's trying to cut it by like a third. But anyway, $89 billion for this one event. And they had a plan in place to deal with it. They've titled Project Anchor. You know, apparently the documents for Project Anchor were leaked. And that's how Mr. Danya OF found out about this.
Danya, look, I love the gumption, the moxie. Really great. That's the worst code name for a fake thing I've ever heard.
Project Anchor.
Yeah. It's like I'm going to go get a coffee, project code name, drinking caffeine. It's just like, you didn't call, like, I don't understand.
Says what it is on the tin.
It literally said.
Project Conspiracy.
Project Conspiracy. We're going to do a cover-up. Let's call it Project Blanket.
Wow, but we're on to them. We figured out NASA's secret code. And that's when the NASA assassins get you.
NASA assassins. No.
I'm loving it.
That's funny.
Now, the Post claimed it was due to gravitational waves from black holes canceling out Earth's gravity or some such. But I don't know if Mr. Danya OF knew this when he, put this out into the universe. But of course, it happened to be on the same day that there was a total solar eclipse.
An incredible one that I wish I could have seen, but I missed it.
I know. You had to be in like Spain to see it.
The Spain of America. Thank you.
The Spain
I had to be in the Spain of America. I couldn't be in the Spain of Spain.
No, the Spain of America was not good enough. The path of totality for this eclipse was like Iceland, Greenland, Spain, and a little bitty bit of Portugal, right? And of course, out over the Atlantic and stuff, if you were on a boat or something like that.
There were people on boats, which I saw some pictures of, and it was
so cool.
Incredible.
So cool. But anyway, yes, it happened to be on the date of a solar eclipse. I think people who picked this up and ran with it might have kind of conflated the two. And it might have lent credence to this idea that Earth's gravity would be disappearing, some celestial event, that, things are aligning. Right. Of course, the gravities will cancel out or whatever. And normally I wouldn't bring up a random internet rumor, except apparently it spread to the degree that NASA felt the need to respond to it.
Well, now Project Anchor's definitely real.
Yeah, 100%.
Why would they respond if they weren't trying to debunk it?
It's another project called Project Response. And
Project Speech.
They put out on Threads, "We will not lose gravity today." If you've seen that claim, there's no need to fear. Earth's gravitational pull is determined by its own mass, not the moon. Eclipses don't have any effect on gravity here on Earth or on the moon. During a solar eclipse, the moon is orbiting exactly the same as any other day. It just happened to reach the point in its slightly tilted orbit when it crosses between Earth and the sun. That's the NASA statement on the matter.
Look, NASA, I'm no physicist, but that's not entirely accurate.
Well, wouldn't you know it, somebody here did the math on how much the gravity would, in fact, cancel out.
Thank you.
You think I'm going to bring
much.
This up and not do a bunch of math? Come on.
Thank you.
But we'll get to it.
Okay. We'll get to it.
So, Trace, what's happening during a solar eclipse?
Our moon is 400 times smaller than the sun, and the sun is 400 times farther away. I saw this so many times, 399 times farther away or whatever. And because of that, they can overlap in the sky, and you get this beautiful total eclipse. Now, there's a variety of other things going on. As somebody who has an astronomy show, I'm not going to get into them all, but I'm going to tell you a lot of things have to happen in order for this to go well and to actually work. However, in my opinion, and I feel like I've said this before on the show, if we were to meet aliens and become an intergalactic species, Earth's claim to fame in the entirety of the universe would be that our moon and sun do this. Yeah. Because it's so unlikely that every totality, there would be aliens from everywhere in the universe being like, you want to see something totally mental?
Yeah.
Go to that Earth planet. Their sun and their moon line up perfect. It's awesome.
It's a pretty crazy cosmic coincidence, right? Like, have you seen mock-ups of what a solar eclipse looks like on Mars with one of their dumb little potato moons floats in front of the sun?
There's a potato in front of the sun.
Just
and because of how light works, you wouldn't even really notice it unless you had a camera pointing at that exact moment. Right. You're like, oh, there, I know it's there, but you couldn't see it with your eyes. Yeah. That's not how our eyes work.
Well, it's kind of bonkers. So. You've experienced total eclipses as well. I know you have.
Yeah, a couple times.
It's
great.
Kind of bonkers how it isn't noticeable until kind of just before totality. Until
it literally is like a switch is flipped because of just how light and our eyes work. It's amazing. It is amazing.
Exactly. Yeah, and you can be watching it through those little glasses, and you'll still see like just a little sliver of sun. Right. And otherwise, there's really not much to give away that like a big old shadow is creeping across it and blocking most of it out. It's unreal. So, yeah, totally. If we are an intergalactic tourist destination, that's going to be why people come here, or space people. But we'll call them people, too. OK, so as you mentioned, though, the sun and the moon, they're in alignment. They are going to have some effect on how hard you are pulled down towards the Earth. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So gravity, and this is, I think, an important thing, and this will come back later during this answer. People think of like an object having a gravitational pull on you, you know?
Right.
And that's not quite right.
Right.
In reality, things have a gravitational pull on each other.
We're all in this together.
Right?
Gravity.
We're all in this together. The Earth pulls on you, yes, and you pull on the Earth. It's just a thing that comes with having mass, and gravity is that pull between two objects, right?
I like that. It's just a thing that comes from having mass.
Yeah.
It's very relatable because everything that we interact with has mass pretty much. So
by definition, if you have mass, science says you're attractive. Congratulations.
Oh,
so way to go.
Thank you.
I love it.
I needed that today.
No problem, buddy. Now, you can calculate it using Newton's formula, right, which says the force is equal to the gravitational constant g times the mass of object 1 times the mass of object 2 over the distance between the centers of those two objects squared.
Right. I've done that math.
Yeah, many times, I'm sure.
Yeah.
The distance here is important, right? The distance between something has a huge effect since it's being squared, right? So the farther away something is, the quicker that pull between two objects drops off, right? So the moon's fairly close and the sun is very massive, but it's very far. Also, when we're talking about forces, you can add up the direction forces are pointing in, right, to get like a net force. So if you have two forces that are equal, but they're 90 degrees to each other, you know, the total force that object is going to experience that those two forces are acting on, the net force is going to be at like 45 degrees diagonally between those two.
Right. Or if you have two things that are going at each other, it's like why pool balls, if you hit two of them at each other at the exact same, they would stop like once they hit each other, or those like little executive toys and things are like fun examples from people's real life.
Yeah. So if two objects like the sun and the moon are in alignment, like they are during the eclipse, then yes, the direction that both those things are, you know, pulling on you are going to be stacked up and greater overall than if they were not in alignment, you know, especially if they were like 90 degrees to each other. So, yeah, you can say that the sun and the moon during a solar eclipse do affect how much gravity you feel from Earth. But here's the thing. They're also pulling on the Earth.
Yeah, and the Earth's pulling on them.
And the Earth's pulling on them. But you're getting pulled towards the sun and the moon by the sun and the moon. But the Earth below your feet is also getting pulled towards the sun and the moon.
Right.
So instead of just calculating, you know, like the total force from each and subtracting it from the force from the Earth, really what you have to do is calculate the tidal forces from these. The equation for calculating the tidal force takes into account the distance between where you're standing on the surface and the center of the Earth. And so it's the difference between, you know, how much the Earth is getting pulled towards the sun and the moon versus how much you are getting pulled towards the sun and the moon. You will get pulled a little bit more
that makes sense.
Than just the Earth. So I did the math. And by the way, I want to give a shout out to a channel called Space Smog, hosted by Dr. Maggie Liu, because I was reading articles on how to calculate this and account for loss of gravity. And I think that a lot of the articles that are on the internet on this are bad. And hers is one of the few sources I found that I was like, this makes logical sense to me, and I think she's doing the right thing. So shout out to Space Mog. She is a doctor and I'm not. Her numbers are probably better than mine. Another thing, though, that we should talk about is that the eclipse is not necessarily directly overhead.
Oh, right. Yeah, especially so where you were in Spain, it's northern hemisphere summer, so we are more like sitting up straight in our chair, but like you're still kind of leaning away from the equator relative.
There's that,
middle.
But there's also the time of day the eclipse happens at.
In this case, it was evening, which is
It was.
awesome.
It was about 30 minutes before sunset. So it was pretty low on the horizon. So somewhere between 3 and 7 degrees, which means the total component of the force that's pulling you away from the center of the Earth is going to be like between 5 and 12%. Right?
Yeah, pretty low.
It's going to be much, much smaller. So let's imagine a scenario where the eclipse happens directly overhead. The sun, the moon, your body, and the center of the Earth, they're all in a line. So that's really going to give the eclipse the maximum anti-gravitational effect that it possibly can, okay?
Yes, I'm ready. I want to jump real high.
Okay, so we use this equation for tidal forces, and I'm going to assume that we're talking about my mass. I have a mass of about 68 kilograms. So normally, if we say the Earth is accelerating me downward towards the center at a rate of 9.81 meters per second squared, that means I experience a downward force of 667.08 newtons. Okay?
667.08.
Now, during a solar eclipse at noon, the sun and the moon would combine for an upward acceleration of 1.6 times 10 to the minus 6 meters per second squared.
Okay.
Which means I would weigh, during a total eclipse at noon, 667.0799 newtons. I would lose
love that.
0.00001 newtons, or about 0.000025 pounds.
Wow.
That's it.
That's great.
It would reduce the pull I would feel from Earth's gravity by 0.000016%.
That is very low.
Very little. Now, Trace, you are, in my book, a unique character for many reasons. In that, not only have you experienced a total solar eclipse, you have experienced weightlessness as well.
Oh, I have. Yes.
Like you just remembered.
I'm like, I was like, where's he going with this? I have experienced weightlessness.
Now, would you say the two events are similar?
Well, I did. There is one kind of commonality, and that is during totality and also while floating in zero gravity, I basically just giggle and run and like float around like an idiot.
Yeah.
And I'm just like,
feels cool.
This is so cool. The whole time. But physically, no, they're not similar at all.
No. During the total eclipse, you weren't like, wow, this is just like that time I was weightless, right?
Yeah, I just jumped and like, dunked in a 12-foot basketball hoop. It was great.
That's pretty cool.
I didn't do that. Yeah.
Yeah, you were on a plane. I guess they didn't have
I was
a
on
big
a plane.
tall
There's
basketball
no.
hoop.
But
they should.
And I'm also tall. So being on a plane, you can touch the walls if you aren't careful. So I did have to kind of like be tucked in, a little smaller.
Mm-hmm.
But it was nice.
So
it was fun.
It's cool. Just quite a little ball of Trace giggling through
so much
airplane.
Giggling. Every
So
video,
much
I'm
giggling.
just like the whole time.
So Sarah's question was, if gravity turned off for 10 seconds, what would society look like, right? First of all,
Right.
Would anything change? From the perspective of physics, when we're talking about forces, every action has an equal and opposite reaction, right? So we're being pulled down towards the ground, and the ground is pushing back up on us, right?
Right.
But if you were to just stand there, you're just minding your own business, not doing anything, just standing perfectly still, and gravity switched off for some reason, what do you think would happen?
I mean, I know what I think people picture will happen. Can I say that first?
Sure.
I think what people picture will happen is kind of like the movie Inception or other like films in space where they turn off the gravity and people just like slowly float off the ground and things start floating around in the air. And then they turn the gravity back on or whatever. And then they kind of land back on the ground, which is what it's like when you're on the 0G flight, by the way. It like turns off, you're floating around, and then, not that long, like seconds later, you are back on the ground again. But I don't think that's what happens in real life. You turn the gravity off, you're moving real fast. We're moving real fast.
When you were on the 0G flight, did you ever try and just like stand there and see if you naturally kind of floated off?
So the first time, so we did 15 parabolas. If people are unfamiliar, basically I went on a 0G parabolic flight. Essentially, you take off in a regular airplane, but instead of seats, it's like big padded open area. And we can post something on our Instagram so you can see a video of it. And you lay on the ground to start as they start to approach the first parabola. So you climb, and then the plane essentially enters free fall at the same time as the passengers. So they just kind of cut the power to the engines, and the whole plane is just falling for a while. And because you're all falling at the same rate, you experience free fall similar to being on the International Space Station, because that's literally what is happening. They're just falling and missing the Earth, and we would not miss if we continued to fall. But but the ISS
you're falling
does.
and missing the bottom of the plane.
Right, and they're falling and missing the Earth. So
the whole ground,
yeah. So we get about 15, 20 seconds of weightlessness. And the first couple of times we did moon levels of gravity. So you could like kind of bounce around like an astronaut on the moon, and it was about 1/6. And the other 13 parabolas were zero gravity.
Cool.
It was so cool. And the first time you do zero gravity, like if you've never done it before, everybody's very nervous because they're like, don't push off. You don't weigh anything.
Whatever you do.
You do not have to push off. Because they all are. There's videos of like gymnasts, and the first time that they do this, they like push with their super compact, very muscular bodies, and they just slam into the ceiling.
I bet.
And they can really hurt themselves because you are pushing with all of that force, and you don't have to overcome any gravity or your own mass. And so they said you can push off with a single finger. And so a lot of us just didn't do anything. You just like enter zero gravity, not moving at all, laying on the floor. And you do just float off of the floor. Because to your point, I'm pushing against the floor and the floor is pushing against me. And so it's when I'm entering zero gravity, it's not like even if I'm not moving, the plane's moving, I'm moving, things are happening. There's forces acting upon me. And as soon as you start floating, you giggle like an idiot. And so you just like start flailing around and you touch the wall and all of a sudden you're moving in a different direction. So
any little input just sends you off.
Anything at all. Yes.
That's so cool. But yeah, the ground is pushing up on us, in our day-to-day lives, and you can think of it as basically like a microscopic trampoline, right? Like all the atoms in whatever you're standing on are being pushed down by your weight, and the intermolecular forces between them, they're repelling each other, and that's what's kind of pushing you back up. And so if the gravity were to suddenly disappear, those molecules, those atoms would spring back to their original position, and they might give you a little bit of a boost off of wherever you're standing. But as you mentioned, I think a much more important thing to remember is that this big old ball we're on is spinning around, and you are spinning with it.
So fast.
So fast. Depending on where you are, it can be quite fast, right?
Yeah.
We don't think of it. We don't notice it in our physics problems you might do in high school or, early college, right? When you model the forces on an object, you don't really bother dealing with the fact that the Earth is spinning, right? You just got gravity pointing you down, and then
you don't even really model gravity if you don't need to, right? If you're on the ground and you're not going with or against gravity in any way.
Yeah.
There's no reason to model.
On your diagram, you'll draw gravity this way and an equal force from what we call the normal force pushing you up, and they cancel each other out.
You're basically just like, it's there, but we don't care. We don't care that it's there because we're moving linearly. It's not going to affect us.
If you consider the fact that the Earth is spinning, we're constantly being pulled down towards the Earth, which means we're always traveling in a curved path. And that is not normally what things do if there's no forces acting on them. Things move in a straight line.
Right.
So if you turn off the gravity, all of a sudden you're traveling in a straight line at whatever speed, the Earth underneath your feet was rotating at.
Yeah.
So if you're at the equator, that means the Earth is spinning around at about 365.1 meters per second. That's about 1,040 miles an hour at the equator.
And can you remind me, Julian, what is the speed of sound again?
The speed of sound at sea level is about 760 miles an hour.
Great. So if we turn off gravity, is it loud?
That's a great question. The thing is, air is being dragged along with the Earth because of friction.
Good point. Yeah.
But you're not wrong in that if gravity just goes away, there's nothing holding the air to the Earth anymore. The atmosphere can start floating away. The water can start floating away.
Anything that's not attached.
Anything not bolted down will start floating away.
And bolted is right, because it's a lot of force.
Yeah, it's going to look like it's floating away. What's really happening is you are moving in a straight line. All this stuff is moving in a straight line now, and the Earth's surface is moving in a curved path beneath you. So it's going to start moving farther and farther away. And in 10 seconds, I did the math, you would be about 0.565 meters away, or 1.85 feet, if you were on the equator. Yeah, not that high.
That's less far than I thought.
Yeah, but still, that's the all of a sudden you're just floating up, about 1.85 feet. And then you gotta be ready to come down from it. But it's not just you. It's everything. Everything on that latitude. Less so at higher latitudes. If you're in the North Pole, like exactly on the axis of rotation, you're not gonna float away like that.
Whoa.
Right? Because you're not moving. So it'll be worse for you at the equator and like better at higher latitudes for you. Now imagine then, when gravity comes back on, all of a sudden everything is going to get accelerated at 9.8 meters per second back towards the center of the Earth. Right? And if you were, say, at the equator, that means you are going to hit the ground at about 3.3 meters per second, or about 7 miles an hour.
Okay. It's enough that it could, if you weren't paying attention.
That's like a speed walking speed.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. If you tripped and fell while speed walking, you could get hurt. But
again, it's not just you. Imagine a freight train.
Yeah.
Floating up into the sky and then crashing down from even just about 2 feet. So things would have to be quite different here on Earth if there was a daily 10 seconds no gravity period that we all had to deal with, right?
Yeah.
We would have to have everything bolted down, basically, in preparation for it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think you could have any sort of open containers, like if you wanted your liquid to stay, you can't have like a glass. Everything would have to be in a sippy cup to be ready for the 10 seconds.
We would all have sippy cups.
Everything's
nice.
Sippy cups, right? Yeah. Your pool would need to be covered. I imagine also there'd be some sort of warning system globally for when it's coming. Like, hey, get ready. The daily 10 seconds no gravity is on its way.
Right.
Right?
It would be a really cool part of history to learn how ancient cultures throughout history dealt with no grav time.
Or like I mentioned, locomotives, right? They would float because their wheels aren't attached to the track. They're just sitting on top of it. So transportation on rails, it would be like roller coaster,
double wheel.
Exactly.
Whoever invented that, changed the world.
Nailed it. Yeah. Great idea, because they had to account
they
for.
Didn't nail it. It's usually it's like a tube
rolling.
with the rolling. So
it started on wood though. So there was a lot of nailing originally early.
Okay.
But they had to account for when carts would be in places where they would fly off the track because the net forces for the cart, or the momentum of the cart, was carrying it upward. And so they had to come up with this like all attachment point system for the rails, where the wheels were all around it instead of just sitting on top of it, like locomotive engineers, right? Never had to worry about that.
Yeah.
So we would probably have procedures in place, I imagine, much like on the flight you took, the 0G flight, where they're like, okay, lay down, be ready for it.
Yeah. That part of that too is motion sickness, which I wonder how that would come into play. Maybe we would have evolved to handle motion sickness better because it would be a daily occurrence,
Probably.
But part of that was we laid down and they were like, pick a spot on the ceiling and stare at it. Because if you turn your head, that was more because it's a high gravity maneuver to go up. And if you turn your head during a high gravity maneuver, it sometimes makes people sick.
Gotcha.
But still, some people get sick in low gravity as well. So maybe they wouldn't, because low gravity happens every day.
So not only, though, is gravity holding all these non-attached things to the Earth, it's holding the Earth to the Earth.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Wait. Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Where is gravity turning off, Sarah? Is gravity just turning off on our little planet? Like there's some machine somewhere inside the Earth, like a Dr. Roboto kind of situation. And they just, it's like on a timer.
I'm imagining there was some scientific experiment, like in the original Half-Life video game, that went awry.
Sure. Yeah.
We'll call something a resonance cascade, and then once a day, the whole Earth just like phases out for 10 seconds. The mass of it just vanishes somehow.
Cool.
Just gets negated. I don't know, but yeah,
I like it. This is a good sci-fi premise.
Good sci-fi premise, right? So for 10 seconds globally, it happens everywhere all at once. So the Earth is a spherical ball shape because the Earth is pulling on itself. All the little bits of mass are attracting each other. And when something's big enough, right, it gets pulled into a big ball, except the Earth is spinning like you mentioned. So the Earth isn't really a sphere, right?
Uh-oh, it's an oblate spheroid.
It's an oblate spheroid.
It's my least favorite internet pedant.
Yeah, right?
No, it's not a sphere. It's an oblate spheroid. Okay.
And you're like, it's fine. It's spherical.
It's fine.
The difference is pretty minor.
So small, considering the size.
7 kilometers higher at the equator than it is at the poles. It's pretty minimal, but sure, it's not a perfect sphere. Okay,
you're right.
Makes you happy.
Yes.
You know what? You're so right. Anyway. But there is still that bulge because the Earth spinning around the equator's moving faster than the poles, like we mentioned. And so those bits of mass at the equator, they want to travel off in a straight line. They're moving the fastest. They're getting pulled outwards. Yeah. And so is 10 seconds of no gravity enough time for the Earth to shake itself apart, basically, like spin itself into rocks? Probably not. I can't say. This is beyond the scope of what I could find.
Yeah, that's some pretty serious astrophysics calculations, I would guess.
Yeah, this is like supercomputer stuff, and it's just me and my laptop against the world, So I can't tell you. We're going to assume for the sake of Sarah's question that isn't the case, but still, it's a consideration, and I imagine you'd have tectonic effects as a result too. You might have like volcanism and earthquakes.
I was thinking there'd be like the 10 seconds a day where all the volcanoes would look like that zit that you pop in when you're up against your mirror. They would just be like, whoa.
Okay. Now remember, we said also that gravity isn't just like one thing pulling on you. It's two things pulling on each other, right?
Yeah.
So if Earth's gravity disappears, quote unquote, really the attraction between Earth and everything else just vanishes all of a sudden.
Yeah.
How do you think this affects things like the moon?
It's destroyed the one thing that made us great.
Right? The moon,
galactically speaking,
for 10 seconds at a time, just gets to travel in a straight line, and then, it gets recaptured.
It just gets
by
smaller
Earth.
And smaller and smaller and smaller.
Yeah, the moon is probably going to get smaller at a faster rate, right? Because it's getting flung
getting
off
smaller
and then
now,
recaptured, and then flung off and then recaptured. And the Earth itself is getting flung off and then recaptured and flung off and recaptured.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's going to have a bigger impact on the apparent size of the moon. But like that gets totally destabilized, and slowly the Earth marches farther and farther out into the solar system as time goes on. It'd be pretty catastrophic. It wouldn't be a good thing, I would say. So I'm glad that we have gravity all the time. And I'm annoyed that NASA had to put out a statement saying that, the Earth has mass and therefore gravity's not going to disappear, because it's kind of important to like how we understand the universe, the fact that gravity doesn't just disappear on a whim. Yeah, it's a shame that NASA had to put this out. By the way, I love that another government agency that I think does good work, the U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission, responded to NASA's post and said, gravity's not going to disappear, but you should probably anchor your furniture at home anyway. There's anchor kits that you can buy at any hardware store.
I was actually thinking, that's great.
It's a good idea.
I was thinking about IKEA during this time. Like their commercials about anchoring their furniture would be really strong.
All that stuff
in this world.
I confess to not being diligent about installing the wall anchors that come with the IKEA furniture, but it is a good idea, especially if you have young children, so a bookshelf doesn't fall on them.
And they will.
Or even if, you don't want a bookshelf to fall on you. Say you live in an earthquake-prone area like Southern California, like me.
Yeah.
You know?
I definitely started anchoring things when I lived there.
So, Sarah, wall anchors, ubiquitous in this society. Everybody's furniture is well attached. Good for them. But anyway, I want to bring this back to solar eclipses and gravity and kind of the beautiful way that these two things are linked. Because, Trace, do you know where some of the earliest, strongest evidence for Einstein's theory of general relativity came from?
His first, thoughts of it?
The first really strong, independent supporting evidence that Einstein was onto something. That his idea for how gravity worked was more correct than Isaac Newton's from
maybe
300
it was
years earlier.
If I had to guess based on the topic that we're talking about here, I mean, if we hadn't been talking about what we're talking about, I would have said, I don't know. We started flying airplanes or satellites and we started to see things. But based on what we're talking about, I bet you it has something to do with planetary motion, predicting eclipses, which is, we got better at predicting when eclipses happened, which is something we've been trying to do for as long as we've been people. But I don't know.
It's not that, although you are right that Einstein's theories of relativity do predict planetary motion better than Newton's theories. And that is something that helps. But Einstein's theory says that things with mass have gravity because they bend space and time around them, right? It's that old analogy of like a bowling ball and a trampoline. And so if something is traveling on a straight path and then it enters curved space, its path will curve, right? Mm-hmm. And so this is why light traveling by a black hole will either get sucked into the black hole, or if it's far away enough, it'll bend past it, right? So to test this idea of general relativity that Einstein came up with in 1915, which was, in the middle of World War I, people were kind of busy. After World War I, some British researchers decided, what would be a good test of this? There is a solar eclipse coming up on May 29th, 1919. If we sail into the path of totality and we look for stars that we know should be near the sun, like behind them, their apparent position should shift because the light from them, unlike when, the Earth is on the other side of the sun and we can see those stars clearly at night, now when we're looking at them and the light from these stars travels past the sun, it should bend. And the star should appear to be in a different position than we would expect it to be. And sure enough, they sent 2 expeditions out to go and see if they could capture it. And one of them, it was cloudy, but the other one actually captured images of these stars. And they were not in the position you would expect them to be if Newton's idea of gravity was correct. It strongly supported the idea that space and time were curved, and that was due to mass. So
cool.
Because things have mass, they have gravity, and a solar eclipse helped us establish how it all works. And that is, in fact, the case. And so I find it hugely, hilariously ironic that during this most recent solar eclipse, some people thought gravity would disappear when this celestial event is one of the reasons we understand gravity as it is today. I think that is so cool. And I love the completeness of it all.
Nice job.
Thank you, buddy.
Yeah, wow, that is cool. So I was picturing when you first started talking, that scene in the documentary Twister.
Yeah.
Where Helen Hunt and Bill Paxton have to belt themselves to a well. And I'm like, is that what it's going to be like?
I imagine there might even be emergency like clipping stations. Everybody might have like carabiners attached to their belts or something. And if you're out in public,
just in case.
You get caught unawares, just clip yourself to a lamppost or something.
Oh, I like that idea. Emergency clipping stations. Maybe you just clip around. They'd be everywhere. Like in everything, there'd always be a clip available.
Yeah. Gotta be
because
ready.
You never know where you're going to be when it's 10 seconds, especially if it's random versus predictable. You start feeling yourself floating away and you can clip in wherever you are.
Imagine the importance of science in understanding what is the underlying cause of the loss of gravity so you can then predict it, right? This is the great power of science that we always talk about. The same way that, we used our understanding of the motions of the moon and the earth around the sun to predict with incredible accuracy solar eclipses, right?
Yeah.
The predictive power of science. I saw an astronomer that I love who was like kind of railing against astrology because he's like, you guys don't predict anything, right?
They don't.
This is why science is powerful and astrology is just space magic. Yeah, we'll call it that.
I love to read my horoscope, but it's silly.
Yeah, it is. And it doesn't really predict anything, right? It doesn't give you a falsifiable prediction. If the solar eclipse didn't happen where and when it was predicted to by astronomy, that'd be like, dang, we got something wrong. We need to go fix it. But astrology is impossible to disprove. There's always some way of interpreting it.
See, now here's the deal. If you listen to this podcast and you really love astrology, wow, amazing. Tell us in the emails. I'd love to know. But also, don't read your horoscope. Put it in an envelope. Then, at the end of the day, read it and be like, this specific thing that it predicted didn't happen or did happen. And do that 100 times. And then tell me how it did. You know?
Yeah, right.
Like, because that would be a way to be able to tell if you have somebody else, even more importantly, put it in an envelope or whatever, so that you're not even involved at all.
Or read a random horoscope for a star sign that you are not.
Even
and
better.
See if it applied to your day.
Pick random horoscopes that aren't tagged with the thing and give those to people and see if they see those predictions within their day. That would be more of a mass. You'd have to give it to a lot of people, but that would be very interesting. And everybody would be like, oh my God, it totally spoke to me. But I guarantee you it wouldn't match. I used to read all the horoscopes and just be like, oh, I like this one. This one seems nice. I want to have that day. That seems like a good day.
I like to tell people at parties I'm random star signs because it always comes up in Los Angeles. And so I always play this game of like, who's going to say, you're not a Pisces? That doesn't seem right at all. Hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, I imagine it wouldn't. But back to the no gravity or low grav planet, the North Pole would be a cool place to visit because you would be able to skip the no gravity time, which had never happened. You know, that would be something that would be like rare, kind of, I guess, like flying in the 0G flight is for us regular grav people. The spring would be one of the most important simple machines because it absorbs forces.
Right.
So everything would have springs on it.
Yep.
Seat belts would probably work a bit better. Let's see. Homes would be built with locations for furniture predetermined, so they could be bolted to those things, because those things would have to be bolted into the floor. And what
maybe
a pain
even
to move
magnetic
those
systems.
Things. Then I started thinking
Permanent
about magnets. For rich people, they would buy the magnetic furniture. They could put it anywhere in their house. So you'd be able to go to somebody's house and be like, wow, you can pick wherever you want to put your furniture. That'd be so cool. But then I started thinking, why keep it in the house? Just have a total metal, sidewalk system. And then everyone has electromagnets built into their shoes because they only have to last for 10 seconds. So it's not like the battery has to be that big. You just have to be able to switch them on fast enough. And so then we have this steampunk world where everything's covered in metal, but just in case the ceiling is all covered in pillows. So everything is very soundproofed. I actually really love it. It sounds like a quiet steampunk future. You can tell I'm middle-aged because that sounds awesome.
See, my head went also towards like, oh no, this is going to exacerbate global inequality because the equatorial countries are going to get disrupted so much worse than Europe. And
yeah, like the Norwegians are going to be like, whatever. They only go a couple inches off the ground.
Zero grav, whatever. No big deal, right? But like every day in Ecuador, it'll be like, oh no!
Ah! I wonder if people would do the opposite too. They like visit the North Pole to experience no real gravity change, but they experience the equator if they're from like, Siberia or something. And they're like,
right,
let's go to equator. We can fly.
Around. Yeah.
I also thought, Sarah, love the question, but it'd be way cooler if this happened like every 200 years or something. Because then you'd have like low gravity deniers and people would be like, this isn't real. It never happened.
NASA trying to assure people that yes, gravity will in fact disappear.
Yeah, it will disappear. It will only be 10 seconds. Don't worry.
Guys, we've
it will all be fine.
Use the clips and pillows provided.
the consumer safety and IKEA would be out handing out emergency clips to everybody. No, it's coming.
Will be like,
low grav, it's coming.
Anti-clippers, and they're worried the NASA assassins will get them.
NASA assassins.
Rocket launches, though, during that 10-second window would be so much easier.
That would be great. it.
That would be it.
I
That
wonder
would be like,
how much
that's the window.
less fuel they would need. 10 seconds in the whole launch is not that much, but that first, like, getting off the ground is
accelerate
a huge amount.
So much.
Fast. Like, in 10 seconds, all the thrust is going to acceleration. I mean, it could be bad
gravity.
It could be cool.
It'd be pretty sweet, actually. That'd be cool. But also, our orbit would keep getting weirder, so you'd have to keep recalculating, like, the quickest way to Mars. And then eventually you'd be past Mars. You're like, oh, no. You have to launch towards the sun. Like
recalculating. Recalculating.
Yeah, your GPS. Satellites, no way, bud. Those are done. Those are all flying off. Those are no GPS in this world.
No GPS at all. That recalculating joke would not have
Doesn't
landed.
work. Makes no sense in this universe.
Landed.
You took a wrong turn with that joke.
Well, everybody, with this totally
We're
real
laughing.
laugh. They're laughing. Thanks for listening to this episode of That's Absurd. Please elaborate. The show was created, written, and laughed through by me, Trace Dominguez.
And me, Julian Huguet.
It was also produced and edited by the man whose gravitational pull extends not just to his body, but also his heart, Kyle Sisk.
Man who has the button that can turn off gravity. And graciously decides not to press it. Kyle Sisk.
For the sake of Ecuador. This show is associate produced by Sabrina Capello, and our music is thanks to Epidemic Sound.
Thank you to our listener who submitted the question featured in this week's episode. That would be Sarah. If you would like to submit a question, you can look for the form in our show notes. You can email us at hello@that'sabsurdshow.com. You can go to our website, that'sabsurdshow.com/ask. You can even call us at 302-TAPESHO. That's 302-TAPE show. We couldn't do this show without you. One might say your questions keep us grounded. That's actually not true. They're very silly. We love them. They elate us. They lift
really
us.
do.
Like Trace in a weightless environment, or both of us during a solar eclipse, because I also giggled like a madman. It was awesome. It was the coolest thing I've ever seen.
It's just the best. Thank you to our absurd administrators. They are just some of our patrons, but they send us just a little bit extra money so that we say their names here at the end of the show. So Adam, Les, Austin, Jonathan, Dan, Sabrina, Balky, Hannah, Apothecarian, Christina, Atomic Straw, Brian, Shane, Metric Ton of Batcat, Poochu, and Connor. Thank you so much for your patronage, and also for all of our patrons. It is the main way that we are able to go to things like Open Sauce, to go to events like live events and have live shows. If you want us to come to your town, to your local science festival, science museum, university, you can go to our website and you can reach out. Maybe we'll be able to come. It would be really awesome. And we would be able to do that thanks to, in part, our patrons. So thank you so much to all of you.
I went to the solar eclipse on my own time, though. I just want to, like, we didn't use Patreon funds for that. That was just me doing a thing for fun for me. So, like, I don't want you to think I'm misusing it in order to go.
Wow,
do cool
misappropriation
stuff.
of Patreon funds.
No, I wouldn't dream of it. Thank you to those listening. If you like this show, you can leave us a review wherever you're listening right now. Or you can tell your friends if you're having fun and you want them to have fun as well, and you want them to know about the NASA assassins and be ready for it in case they denigrate our nation's most amazing and wonderful space agency. You can leave a review wherever you're listening, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, whatever. We read them. They crack us up, and they're sweet, and they let people know that the show is worth their time, and it's better than like a random Instagram rumor that makes people think that they're gonna float around for 7 seconds on the day of a solar eclipse. It's better that they listen to this than that. I will say that unequivocally.
Agreed. Unequivocably. If you want to see clips from the show and share them with your networks, you can find us at That's Absurd Show on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. And finally, a special thanks to those listening on Nebula. They get ad-free versions of the shows. They support the show just by listening to it. If you want to join Nebula, visit go.nebula.tv/That's Absurd Show. We get credit when you join with our link, and you get a discount on an annual membership. It's super affordable. It's like $3 a month or something. It's really great. And you get so much great content, all ad-free. And every time you listen to a podcast or watch a video on Nebula, you're directly supporting the creator that you are consuming content from. Even better than a lot of other platforms in that way. So, thanks. But like we say at the end of every episode, Julian, what do we say at the end of every episode, Julian?
Hold on. Somebody's here. Hold on. Yeah?
Who's here?
Who
Is
are
it
you?
Roxanne?
Are you at NASA? Oh my God!
Julian, what's happening? Oh no! Oh! No, Julian!
Ah!
Julian!
I didn't tell him about Project Anchor.
Leave him alone. He's my friend.
The NASA assassins got me.
Oh, no! NASA assassins. Why wouldn't it be Nasassins?
Oh, like you have pull with the NASA assassins? He's my friend. Well, if Trace says no.
Yeah.